Yeah.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. I'm calling the meeting to order. Do I do the roll call or does somebody else do that?
You can do it right.
Okay. Janet, you wanna do it?
Okay. Emily Schofield.
Here.
Ron Evans.
Here.
Tony Morones.
Here.
Denny Nielsen. He's muted. Hold on.
Somebody muted me here.
And I'm Janet Zion Hall. We do have a quorum and Tim Kirsch is absent this evening.
And Ron Evans.
I've got Mark on.
Yeah.
Ocean. Oh,
You didn't
okay.
pay attention.
I didn't. Thank you. Thank you. Are there any conflicts of interest this evening? Okay, any announcements? No? Any public comment?
Look at all these public people here.
I know we've got Ken on the phone, so I wanted to pause and see if Ken.
Hey Ken, do you have anything to insert that's not appropriate?
You know me, nothing.
Okay, so I will. Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda for February 3rd?
So moved.
I'll second. Oh,
Was that Tony?
Yes.
Tony
Sure.
seconded. Moved, right?
Denny to Tony, but
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, new business. We have treasurer's report, Ron Evans.
In the month of February, we actually did not receive an additional invoice from the top, so it's pretty much the same as it was in January. The final account in the bank right now stands at $20,086.88. And that's all we have.
Nice. Do I have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve. Me?
So moved.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, next item, adoption of budget calendar and budget officer. Laura?
Yes, so good evening, everyone. As a ORS 190, just like other agencies, you are required to adopt a budget every year. In order to begin the budget preparation process, you have to adopt a budget calendar and appoint a budget officer. On page, let's see, 10 of your packet, I think for those that are looking online, the pagination might be a little bit different because we added the treasurer's report in for
It's on
printing.
page 4.
So on page 4, you have the budget calendar. What is proposed is that you would appoint your budget officer and adopt the budget calendar today. Then you would direct staff to work with your treasurer to prepare the budget, proposed budget. We would publish the legal notice for your budget committee meeting in late March. And then your budget committee meeting, and you already have that budget committee populated, would be at noon via Zoom on April 7th. Then you would have your regular board session that evening, but that would be a Zoom meeting. Assuming the budget committee recommended the budget to the full board, then the full board would take that up on May 5th, Cinco de Mayo. And we would be doing the legal publishing and notices of that hearing that you would have to have on April 25th. So if there aren't any questions, I can recommend motion language, but I can take questions on this now.
Who is on that budget committee? Am I on there?
The full board, Laura Harris, Michelle Tesball, and I think Stacy Cook.
Okay, the reason I'm asking is I'm not gonna be able to participate because of my work issues during that time.
On the 7th.
Yeah, that's right in the middle of a legislative deadline.
Okay, we could move it, although what I'm thinking is, so you don't have to attend. If you're not able to attend, we would still have a quorum.
But I'll see everything and know ahead of time, so.
Yes, yes, because it would have to be, it'll have to be sent to the budget committee and published ahead of time.
Perfect.
And that April 7th is just your budget committee. Your hearing as a full board is May 5th. And you could make changes on May 5th, in which case you would have to have another regular session meeting, but you could do that in June.
Okay.
Or we can move that date. It doesn't have to be April 7th. That's just when
No, let's go ahead and keep that.
okay. Any other questions?
Just a comment from Denny. I have contacted Michelle as well as Laura, and they're willing to cooperate as long as it meets with their schedule. And after tonight's meeting, I'll get a hold of them and let Laura know for sure.
Wonderful. Thank you, Denny. The motion to adopt the calendar and appoint me as the budget.
You're hungry?
Okay. I'm sorry, you said,
So,
I know that we need a motion to adopt the calendar. What did you say about the budget?
and appoint me as your budget officer.
You?
Yes.
Okay. So I need a motion to accept the budget calendar and appoint Laura as the budget officer.
Make a motion that we accept the budget calendar as presented.
And appoint Laura as the budget officer.
We do them together separately. We do them together separately.
Well, two of them, I'm sorry.
You can do them together.
Oh,
Okay, and appoint Laura as the budget manager.
I'll second.
1 second.
All those in favor? Aye.
I,
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay, passes. I've got a county update from Chris Einmo. I see Brian on. Is Chris on?
yes, there's one on there. Proclamation of.
Oh, sorry about that. I missed one.
Yeah.
Proclamation for World Engineering Day, Laura.
So it turns out that February 22nd through the 28th is National Engineering Week, and March 4th is World Engineering Day. And so the National Society of Professional Engineers invites public bodies to make proclamations appreciating engineers. And so after a consultation with chair and vice chair, we put together this proclamation thanking the specific engineers on this project. Specifically Brian Nicholas, Peter Olson, Chris Einmo, Sige Wildejuris, and Pam Villarreal. And so what is in your packet is a proclamation, which if you want to read it out, I will let you do that as the person. Sure.
Okay. Proclamation recognizing Santiam Canyon project engineers as part of World Engineering Day, March 4th, 2025. Whereas engineers use their scientific and technical skills in creative and revolutionary ways to fulfill society's needs. And whereas engineers work on major technological challenges of our time, such as rebuilding towns devastated by natural disaster, cleaning up the environment, assuring safe, clean, and efficient sources of energy, and designing information systems that will propel our state and country into the future. And whereas engineering has been called the invisible or stealth profession, because everything around us and things we use every day have been engineered in some way. Yet we may not see the engineers behind the scenes or know much about engineering. And whereas World Engineering Day is a global celebration to highlight engineers' achievements and improve public understanding of the importance of engineering and technology. And whereas the North Santiam Sewer Authority wishes to recognize Brian Nichols, PE Marion County Public Works Director, Chris Einmo, PE Project Engineer, C.J. Wolder Boyris, Project Engineer, Marion County, Peter Olson, PE Project Engineer, Keller Associates, and Pamela Villarreal, PE Project Engineer, Keller Associates, for their expertise and steadfast commitment to the project and long-term recovery of the canyon communities. Now therefore, the Santiam Sewer Authority does hereby acknowledge and joins in the celebration of World Engineering Day and encourages all community members to join us in recognizing the efforts of the project engineers for the North Santiam Canyon Sewer Project for their contributions to the long-term recovery of the canyon community.
I move to accept the proclamation as read.
Second?
All
Second.
those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So moved.
Would you like CK to say something on behalf of the engineers?
Honor.
Yeah, you can say please.
Thank you, much appreciated.
Okay, now we move to county updates. Chris Ivo.
Chris is on vacation, so I'm going to do the update for the county.
Thanks, Brian.
All right, Brian Nicholas, Marion County Public Works Director for the record. All right, there is a lot to report on. So we have completed essentially 90% design for the plant and the realigned Fairview Road, the realigned road. We've completed the design review. I think last week or the week before, we met with Mill City staff to talk through their comments on the design. Keller's taken that away and is finalizing the construction documents now. We are on track to receive a guaranteed maximum price proposal from the Sladen constructors about April 1st, sorry. Our informal goal for reaching agreement on that guaranteed maximum price is May 1st, with contract executed about 3 weeks after that, at which time we will give Sladen notice to proceed with construction. We have the grading permit from Lynn County. All of our building permits are in. You know, the big permit really is the operational permit, the permit for the plant itself. And we're working with DEQ on that. But the strategy is to try to be able to build what we can before we actually start building the plant, because that permit to build the plant is what's really important. But we are staying on track with our project delivery schedule, which is at this point, which is a really, really big deal on something this fast pace and this size, and with a plant that as technologically advanced as this one. That is, this is a good day. This is a good day to read that proclamation, because Keller has been really kicking butt on delivering this thing. All right. We had a really encouraging meeting with Oregon Housing and Community Services yesterday. We agreed verbally on a methodology by which HCS can grant the lion's share of funding from the state's wildfire or affordable housing funding package to, like I said, fund the lion's share of phase 2. Phase 2 being the Gates collection system and the interconnect pipe between Mill City and Gates. And we have submitted a legislative funding ask for the final gap of construction funding. We actually, today in our meeting with OHCS, we laid out a timeline for the steps we're going to take to get to a funding agreement that's going to award those dollars. So that is a huge step forward. Sounds like we have everybody bought into this to the strategy. And OHCS, we just have to submit one final round of sort of a project description document. It's kind of a standard thing. We do it on just about every federal aid project has something like this. But when we submit that, that will be the last piece of information they need to validate, verify that the plant is eligible for that OHCS funding, the funding program. So if we were, we're sitting here a year ago wondering how the heck we are going to get gap funding, and we've done pretty good. This is how you do it. So I don't want to count our chickens before we get there, but everything is proceeding just about as good as it could. And that has a lot to do with the information sharing and, frankly, some of the pressure that folks involved with the sewer authority, with the project itself, with the county and the state, really recognizing how important this project is and kind of spurring folks on to champion it and put some money towards it. So, so all of that is pretty exciting. It seems like there's something else. Feels like there's something else that I'm missing. But I think that pretty much that's quite a lot. Oh, I know what the other thing was. We've met with the we've been meeting with the property owners, Scott Bauman and Donna, and we have been working out just the configuration of the in-ground utilities that will go in the realigned Fairview Street. And that has gone really well. We had a meeting last week to verify some details with them. Everybody left the table nodding that, yep, this is what we promised to do. There is an amendment I need to process on that property sale and purchase agreement. So I'm hoping to have that wrapped up, probably not by the end of this week, but by the end of next week, so we can get that thing executed and finalize that property purchase. So everything is coming together for that, mid-May potential start of work on the ground. All right. With that, I'm happy to answer any questions the board has.
Thanks, Brian.
I have
Go ahead, Denny.
thank you. Brian, I have a question regarding activities in Detroit. Several weeks ago, you granted me the opportunity to look at 23 properties that Brandon Lamp was working on to survey and ultimately, we hope, design systems for in downtown. I'm just wondering if there's anything new to report in terms of solid potential projects that could be initiated in terms of construction this spring. I know, for example, that the Sherry Flanders property is in escrow. Looks like that's going to be completed. I've talked to the contractor who gave me some very sketchy information about what might go on that property. We know that the old Cedars property is sold and who owns it, but we haven't heard anything recently about what's going on there. And we're desperate to have something begin in that city to show the communities that we're not shut down completely, which we actually were on July 24th of 24.
Let's see, the Cedars property, the groundwater hydraulics engineer, they completed their groundwater study, and I think we submitted the report in February to DEQ, and that is usually about a 3 or 4 week process to get that that vetted. So I think we're getting close. I think we're a week or two away from hearing back from DEQ. And that one, we are able to reuse portions of the previously existing septic system. So that one is going to be it's going to be permitted under the repair rules, not a new system, which provides some more flexibility. So I think I think we managed to get pretty close on the system design, pretty close to the capacity that the property owner wanted there. It's not quite as much as they wanted because it's just the site's too constrained to do too much more. But I think
Even
that one,
even with the ODOT easement being available for additional drain field?
yeah, we learned something about that ODOT right away, which is there is a whole bunch of in-ground telecommunications wires in the ground in that section of right of way. And that reduces the amount of area available to use for infiltration. So the solution on the Cedars property truly is to put a small package treatment system in place so that the seepage pit itself isn't counted on for any type of treatment. Its sole use is to dispose of the treated effluent. And so we were able to make use of the seepage pits without needing a whole lot of extra space. That's the way that we're getting the repair rules to work there. I don't, I'm not. Chris is definitely much more involved in the commercial septic program up in Detroit. So there's not a whole lot more I have top of mind other than my last check-in with Brandon about 2 weeks ago. He was working on designs for quite a few sites. They do tend to be more limited than people want them to be in terms of design capacity. Just like we talked about way back at the beginning, the sites are small. There's constraints there, and it's really hard for property owners to team up and try to invest in a joint system, not knowing because everybody's at different stages in their redevelopment plan. So. Sorry, I don't have a whole lot of really good detailed information, but when Chris is back from vacation, we can prepare a report for you guys and deliver that to the board at certainly by the next board meeting.
That would be delightful. Thank you.
Okay, anything else for Brian?
Well, I guess I have one more question if no one else is going to bring it up, but there was some discussion about what might be happening at the legislature in terms of permitting the Mill City project, given the fact that it was going to take DEQ 11 or 12 months to get the amendment to the three basin rule completed, which was going to constrain the project in terms of being able to spend those funds prior to the end of 2026. I'm just wondering what's going on with that.
Mary, is that something, when it comes to the three basin rule itself, is that something you feel comfortable commenting on?
Yeah, I don't have a problem with that.
Yep.
So the three basin rule, DEQ is drafting the proposal because once Marion County had their proposal to us, so that we start with that, and then we tweak it to make sure it matches groundwater protection rules, that that it does what it intent was to make sure we're protecting water quality, and what does it take to get to the point where you can put an application in. So we were meeting the first Rules Advisory Committee will be March 31st. And then we're planning to have probably 4 more meetings to talk about those proposed rules. Once that is all done, which will take us probably into early June, July or August, we will do a public process as required by doing rules. And then we would like to go in front of the EQC with the proposed changes in November. And once that happens, then DEQ, but if the rule is revised as we think it will be, then DEQ could issue a permit. So we're having conversations with Marion County about when would be a good time to submit a permit application. Even though we know we can't issue until the rule is changed, at least we could get things ready to go so that by the time the EQC does make a decision, then it hopefully wouldn't take us another 6 months to issue the permit because we've already got it drafted. And then we would start working on go to the comment period we have to for a rule and things like that. So we're trying to condense it, but rule writing just takes a while. That's just the nature of it. So that's what.
Well, I really appreciate this working forward towards getting the county's needs satisfied prior so that we can hopefully meet this deadline in terms of our funding.
Yeah, there's a big hurdle that when you said the legislative fix, the big hurdle is DEQ, it is against ours. It's not ours, but the statute, you cannot be building a wastewater treatment plant without a permit. And so Marion County and DEQ are trying to figure out an option that could allow that to take place because it is not supposed to happen that way. It's important that you have the permit in place. You could understand why. Because we wouldn't want something built that couldn't be permitted, right? That's what you don't do. But we can't wait because of it takes a year to do the 3 basin rule amendment. So we don't have an answer right now, but both sides are trying to come up with options to see how we can make that happen so that they can start construction in May. But it is unusual. First, you're supposed to get your permit, but couldn't do that.
Thank you, Mary. Thank you, Mary.
Mhm.
Okay, next up is agency updates. Mary, do you have anything in addition to what you just shared for us?
We do have engineers too at DEQ, so I will tell them happy engineering day to them as well. So Brad Eagleson is looking at the 90% design, and we will provide comments to the county on that design. And our permitting staff is reviewing the information that Marion County has provided thus far, like groundwater reports, the pilot study, things like that. We want to identify any data gaps, as we call it, that we would need them to fulfill when they give us a permit application. So we're trying to again be forward thinking and look at what we got and say, okay, when could we start writing permit? What is missing? And then we'll work with Marion County if there are things identified to fill those gaps. So we are actively doing that right now. That's all I got.
Mary. Next up is staff report for you, Laura.
Yep. So I will summarize, but staff has been working with DEQ and Marion County on the rule kind of process, but more so in the legislative process. So as Mary was talking about, trying to find a fix or a pathway that allows them to begin construction. Even though there's not really a permit that DEQ can issue right now because we don't have a rule that allows them to issue a permit. So there have been a lot of conversations amongst the interested parties. So the county with the Confederated Tribes of Grand Ronde, the city of Salem around what could solutions look like. You have in your packet one of many options, which is the request of the legislature to tweak that statute that Mary talked about. Now, it's possible that there are other pathways, but the legislature is in session, and so that's one of them that we have to look at. We have folks working on talking with legislators. That's a long process. You have to find a legislator that's willing to carry it and then to amend it, then it has to be assigned to committee, and then it has to have a hearing and whatnot. That's a long process. It is just simply one of the pathways that we've initiated with Marion County. There, as Mary has alluded to, there are other kind of conversations about what else could we do. So we appreciate the DEQ's partnership on that. In being able to get this thing started, get construction started. and get a permit that frankly is gonna be better for the environment, better for water quality, and allow these to be constructed. So, I think everybody's on the same page that, that the NIPD's permit is better for water quality, better for development, and now we're just working on a pathway forward. So, the flyer that you have in your packet and the proposed legislative language, there's no action needed at this time. That is just FYI. It's just one of the options that we're working on. Okay, let's see. Denny, you had, also along these lines, Denny, you had asked about information from DEQ about their rule advisory committee. And so as we've shared via email, Denny and I shared via email with Mary, that information is available on the DEQ website. I don't think we've actually linked the NSSA page to that yet so that people can know more about like when and how to watch that. But that committee will be meeting in a way that you can observe. And of course, Brian is on that committee. So we have some representation there. So I will get that information out to you as soon as I link that, have Desiree link that website so that you can know when that's gonna happen. Other than that, we have been working, you have to start a budget process. So we've been putting your budget calendar together. Continuing to talk to Marion County about a contract for additional funding. Those conversations are ongoing, so nothing new to report there other than just we're continuing to work on it. Hoping to have more certainty around that so that we can get it into your 25-26 budget. Just not there yet. Other than that, I should say one more thing. So this round for residential septic grants in the canyon, the wildfire affected residential septic grants, COGS grant is now closed. However, DEQ is requesting additional fundings for septic grants programs as part of the 2025 legislative process. If they have funding and their program is funded, they'll put out an RFP and COG will apply for that. So there will be opportunity, if there is opportunity, if there's funding in the future, COG will look at opening that again. And probably we will not restrict it to wildfire affected, but rather to anybody that meets the income eligibility guidelines. We know that the sewer process construction process is going to take a few years. And we may have, there may be some folks whose sewer septic system is working fine now, but in the near to intermediate future may need to replace that. So we certainly want to continue to support better technology and replacement of maybe sewers or septic systems that are meeting their functional obsolescence. And so if there's an opportunity to do that, COG will be working on that. Okay, that's all I have from the staff report.
Okay, thanks, Laura. Upcoming events, April 7th, NSSA regular board meeting, Mill City, City Hall and Zoom. And May 5th, NSSA regular board meeting in the city, in City Hall. In City Hall. Okay, I think that's it. Meeting adjourned.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you. Have a good evening.
Hasta la vista.